A former chaplain to the Queen says installing a helter-skelter inside Norwich Cathedral is a mistake. The cathedral says the ride, which we showed you on Look East last night, is playful, but it's encouraging conversations about God. It says it's playing its part in passing on the story of salvation. But the Right Reverend Dr. Gavin Ashenden believes the helter-skelter is poisoning the medicine a church offers.
Well, late this afternoon, Dr. Ashenden told me why he thinks it's not a good idea.
I think it's a miscalculation, really. There's no evidence that getting people into cathedrals or into church buildings propels them into an encounter with the living God. If it did, then all our concerts and our exhibitions and all the events that people have been putting on in cathedrals for hundreds of years would have produced a thriving, spiritually vibrant congregation. But they haven't. So the idea that just by getting people into a sacred space initiates a spiritual journey and a spiritual rebirth is simply a mistake.
The local paper this evening in an editorial is saying that they think that the cathedral should be praised, not slated by people living in the Dark Ages.
Well, of course, that's because the local paper has swallowed the myth of progress and it rather likes the idea of entertainment and relevance, and it consigns to the Dark Ages those of us who believe in heaven and hell, the resurrection of the body and the things Jesus has promised, forgiveness of sins. We're not in the Dark Ages. We've got one foot into the kingdom of heaven.
The church struggles to fill its churches on a Sunday, let alone any other day. Is that not because
no, that's a very good...
You have lost your relevance to many of today's society?
I think the church is perpetually relevant because it talks to all the most profound needs of the human soul. It speaks to our needs to know why we're here, that we're valuable, that we can be forgiven, that we can start again, that there's forgiveness, there's hope, there is perpetual love and acceptance. These things are perpetually relevant. But what I think is difficult is that in our society there's so much distraction. People are being sold so short by the culture we live in that it's actually very difficult for this relevant message to get across. But you're absolutely right. That's the point at which the church has to be as imaginative and persistent as it can be.
But when they take the helter-skelter away, if 2-3 people say that they went in to see the helter-skelter and they will be coming to the cathedral on a regular basis afterwards, surely it's been a success.
We can certainly rejoice that by the mistakes of the church people come to be saved. And that's always true. That's one of the wonderful lessons that we learn as Christians. God is not limited by our bad judgment and by our mistakes.
On a scale of 1 to 10 though, it's pretty insignificant if 10 is the worst of sins and 1 is the best, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And it's really quite funny that everyone has got so excited about it. I completely agree. It's not even a sin. I just think it's a category error from clergy who ought to know better. My fear is it's a mistake born out of desperation. The church is always going to be faced with a dilemma. It either converts people to what it stands for, or it gets converted to the zeitgeist, the spirit of the age. This looks to me as though the Church of England is too fragile in its convictions and is turning to a kind of Love Island mentality. Let's pack them in and keep them interested in the hope that if they come, at least something will happen. I think my fear is it's born out of desperation and bad judgment. I think there are better ways of doing this.
Dr. Ashenden, it's fascinating to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.